All right, here we are in chapter 2, still working on equations. Today we're going to move up from one-step equations to solving multi-step equations. We're going to focus more on a two-step, and then we'll slowly add a little bit more in. Okay, so let's start off. What is a multi-step equation? A multi-step equation is an equation that uses more than one property of equality to solve it. Okay, so that means what you did on Friday with the one-step equations, you're just going to have to repeat that process. To solve this type of equation, you can undo each operation using properties of equality. Working backwards in the order of operations makes the process a lot simpler, and each step in this process results in equivalent equations. So as we're working through, remember, you're just undoing what's the least connected to the variable first, and then you just move to the closest one. Now, so what are we going to work on? Well, we're still going to draw an upside down capital T through the equal sign. We're going to isolate the variable by doing the inverse, which means to undo operation until the variable is by itself. Remember our inverse operations, we have addition and subtraction will undo each other. And we also have multiplication and division will undo each other. And our goal when we are done, we are not done until it says x equals. There cannot be anything on the side with x. Now, the other thing you've got to think about is go from the least connected to the variable to the most connected to the variable. Okay, think back to order of operations. If that was an order of operations problem, what would we do first? What would we do second? And then work backwards off of that. Okay, and then we're going to check your answers. All right, so let's try this then. So if I look here at this first one, 2a minus 6 equals 4. Well, it's 2 times a minus 6. So the least connected is the minus 6. So to undo minusing 6, I'm going to add 6 to both sides. That's going to leave me with 2a equals 10. Then at that point, I would divide because it's 2 times a. So I would divide, leaving a equals 5. Then we could go through the check. Here's what the check looks like. You just literally would go 2 times 5 minus 6. Do you equal 4? And 2 times 5 is 10. 10 minus 6, yes, that equals 4. So we know we got the correct answer. Okay, let's try B here. So on B, we start off and we say, okay, if you notice, I have n plus 1 in the numerator divided by negative 2. Now, remember we talked earlier in the year that even though there's not written, there's a grouping sign around that n plus 1. Those are tightly connected. So the first thing we need to get rid of is the dividing by 2, negative 2. So to undo that, we're going to multiply by negative 2 to both sides. So now I have n plus 1 equals negative 30. Then at that point, I'm going to undo the adding 1 by subtracting, and I end up with n equals negative 31. Again, you can check it. You could literally just go negative 31 plus 1 divided by negative 2. Do you equal 15? So if we do that top part there, the numerator, we would get negative 30. And negative 30 divided by negative 2 is a positive 15, which is what we wanted. So that's the process on those types of problems. Okay, let's try C here. So if I look at C, I'm going to start off. I look, here's my variable. The least connected to it is the 4. So for that, I'm going to minus 4 from both sides. So that's going to leave me negative 15 equals 3m. Now it's 3 times m. So to undo that, I'm going to divide by 3. And I end up getting m equals negative 5. And then we could check it again doing the same thing by plugging the negative 5 in for m. And it basically looks like this. It just says negative 11 equals 3 times negative 5 plus 4. And we're asking, is that true? Well, 3 times negative 5 is negative 15. Negative 15 plus 4 is indeed negative 11. So that tells me we are good to go. Let's try D here now. Now, when we look at D, if we look at it, we've got X, we're dividing it by 3, then we're minusing by 5. So the least connected is the minus by 5. So to undo that, we're going to add 5 to both sides. And that's going to get us 13 equals X over 3. Now we're going to multiply both sides by 3. And we get 39 equals X. Again, we could check this by simply saying 8. Are you equal to 39 divided by 3 minus 5? And here, 39 divided by 3 is 13. 13 minus 5 is indeed 8, so that we know we did that correct. Now, I do want to point out one thing. I want you to look here at these two problems real quick. Now, they both involve division, but if you remember, looking at B and D, we did them both completely different. The difference between B and D, B has an operation in the numerator of the fraction. So it had a grouping, so we had to get rid of the division first. In problem D, we got rid of the subtraction first because it's just the X that's being divided by 3, not the entire thing. So that is definitely something to kind of pay close attention to as you walk through these problems. Okay, last one. We're just going to do this little story problem here real quick. It says fundraising. We want to write and solve a multi-step equation. It says the student council raised 2/5 of the money needed to cover the cost of the school dance. Okay. They raised an additional $150 selling raffle tickets. And if the student council has raised $630, what's the cost of the dance? Okay, so let's start off and think about what we know. Well, we don't know the cost of the dance, so I'm going to let that be C. C is going to be the cost of the dance. Now, if I start off, the first thing I know is I know that 2/5 of the cost was raised with the bake sale. But they raised an additional $150. So think to yourself, would you add that on? Would you subtract that? Would you multiply? And the correct answer would be we are going to add that because it's an additional amount that they raised. And so far, they have raised a total of $630. So now at this point, we just start in to solve it. So I'm going to start off. I'm going to minus the 150. So that's going to get me 2/5 C equals, and that's going to get me 480. Then at this point, you're going to divide by the 2/5. So C is going to equal $1,200. So the dance is going to cost them $1,200 to put together. So be prepared for seeing story problems as well. It's part of it, so just get used to seeing that. And that is multi-step equations.